Good afternoon. Welcome to RSBN Live as we have continuing coverage today, various events at the White House, and we will be going there live soon. I'm Matthew Alvarez, and this, of course, is Robert McNeely getting ready for the fourth visit from a world leader today, Robert.
Yes, we have now Japan and Israel, of course, the Kingdom of Jordan, and the great country of India, all coming to see President Trump in this dire moment in American history where so much is at stake. But again, peacefully and patriotically, this transition over the course of the last 24 days, bringing about true reformers into government, true professionals and people who have dedicated their careers, like now Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. in place at the Department of Health and Human Services. As you can see there in the split screen, the ornate reality that we've come to know with our Marines and our sailors and U.S. Air Force members, as well as other branches, as a world leader comes to see President Trump and as Prime Minister Modi. So looking forward to seeing the two friends get back together and get back to work.
Exactly. So the meetings will be a bilateral meeting, of course, with the Prime Minister of the Republic of India, Narendra Modi, in the Oval Office. So we'll have that feed for you. And then also we'll see a press conference from the East Room of the White House between both world leaders, that happening after the meeting at the Oval Office. So the first line of business today will be when the Prime Minister of India pulls up to the West Wing there at the White House. And we've been seeing this now the fourth time happening. President Trump steps outside and shakes the hand of the world leader that is arriving. Sometimes, obviously, most of the time waves to the press, and sometimes says a few words to the press as they continue on into the Oval Office. So it'll be great to hear what both leaders have to say. And then also the press conference at the East Room, always great because you hear from both nations. You hear from the United States and you hear from India, and then we'll see what kind of back and forth when it comes to any of the fake news press that's in there. Of course, there are some press that is not fake news in there finally at the White House. So it's great to see a very transparent White House. And speaking of transparent, Doge, super transparent. We just heard reportedly that Doge has actually entered the Internal Revenue Service, the IRS, getting looked at by Doge. And it's something that we're seeing done pretty much with every department and every branch of government, including, President Trump talking about Department of Education, the DOD, and all that. Not saying anything against Pete Hegseth or our service members, but anything that's going on when it comes to the prior administration's leadership, with all that money being spent and all over the place when it comes to other sections of government. It's really to stop the fraud and waste of our tax-paying dollars.
Oh, exactly. It really is putting the people in place who want to give this government back to you, the American people. That's what President Trump said in his first inaugural. And he said the biggest difference this time around is I know where all the skeletons are in the closets, and the people he's appointed really, really know because of their civil service. I just think of the great Kash Patel, who was also brought out of the Judiciary Committee today with a 12-10 party line vote. And none other than Chairman Chuck Grassley, the President pro tempore of the United States Senate, so eloquently put it. Not only are you putting a professional in place, but truly a lifelong servant of this country. So many people want to call themselves public servants, and then they live off of the proverbial, I won't say the word, government. So that's what they like to do. They like to consume, and take more and more and more. But then there's Kash Patel, who's been in those rooms, who saw the intelligence briefings, who uncovered Crossfire Hurricane with Congressman Devin Nunes. Russia, remember the hoax. I mean, even the Democrats were talking about today like it was still a reality. And that was Senator Whitehouse and Senator Durbin just placating these falsehoods and, quite frankly, lies. They were spreading conspiracy theories, as they like to put it. But if you're not used to this process and seeing it all, you might be confused. And that's why we're happy to exist here at Right Side Broadcasting and the entire new media movement, bringing the truth to you, the American people.
Exactly. And so when you're talking about the take, what a great point that is when it comes to a leftist ideology, communism, socialism, or worse, is take your money, take your freedom, take your mind, take your heart, take everything. Right? Take everything. And that is anti what we the people voted for in this country, a majority of Americans, but also if you looked at the global scale of things, the free world doesn't want to be taken advantage of. They don't want their money taken or their freedom taken. But unfortunately, that's the way it is in nations around the world. But hey, we're in America, thank God. For some reason, we were born in this great land. We're grateful for that, and President Trump is wanting to be a good steward of the taxpayer dollars.
Absolutely.
So that's why Doge is doing what Doge is doing. It's great to see that. And if you go to Doge.gov, you can see the receipts. You can see all the things that are $9 million here or $57,000 there. These are our dollars getting spent on various woke projects and other things for other countries. It just isn't going to fly anymore in this America.
Exactly. It's really a new dawn, a new day for Washington, D.C. and the American people as we look live outside of the West Wing and right upon where the Vice President's office is on the second floor of the Eisenhower Executive Office Building. Fun little fact, the Vice President's motorcade is right along there between the West Wing, that street that you enter in as you are about to approach the West Wing and enter it from that direction. And then, of course, J.D. Vance can look over on his balcony and see the West Wing from there. So a nice little ornate spot of the White House.
Definitely. And a very busy day at the White House. Of course, President Trump swearing in or being a part of and participating in the swearing-in process for RFK Jr. Then that press conference about the reciprocal trade and tariffs with the Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. On top of that, then we know that he was just signing executive orders in the Oval Office. So just a lot going on today. Next up, a international visit from the Prime Minister Narendra Modi of India. So looking forward to seeing that here at 4:13 Eastern Time as we get that live feed as we see the Prime Minister pull up there. All right, so recapping some of the news of the day. We saw, of course, RFK Jr. confirmed and now sworn in. We saw Kash Patel go to the next level of a final vote coming up, right? With the cloture vote, correct?
Well, actually, it was just out of committee, so then he'll have the cloture vote for the entire U.S. Senate. But in a sense, it's a cloture vote for the committee, getting him out of there because it has ended debate. There's no more discussion upon it. Of course, the Democrats had plenty of conspiracy theories to peddle against Mr. Kash Patel today, but it will not hold up. And I think ultimately you may see a party line vote on this, or you might even see Mitch McConnell, who has been a massive disappointment with Tulsi Gabbard and RFK Jr. in these last two votes. It might be another 52-48, but thank God that we have enough people in the Senate to get these highly qualified appointees through.
It's pretty wild to think that the extreme left radical, whether it's judges or whether it's people in Congress or the mainstream media, is a small number of people. Again, for years, we've been thinking that half of the country really believes in all these really woke policies and all of these lies. And, a number of them, I believe, know that it was a lie.
Right.
A lot of the lies that have been told, and they just kind of kept it in. But I think a lot of people are also saying, you know what, man, I need common sense in my life. I want better safety. I want more health. I want more money in my pocket. I want my constitutional rights. I don't want to wind up like that country with that leader. And I can name a couple countries right now, but I'll keep it cool because it's sad to see a place, I'm going to have to say it, like the United Kingdom. I'd love to see Nigel Farage as the Prime Minister of the UK. I mean, that guy is based as President Trump in the sense of he wants to make Britain great. And also a big supporter of President Trump. So it'd be great to have those kind of leaders in countries like the UK and anywhere in the world, really. I mean, because the free world, the people want that kind of leader.
No question. That's what we are looking to do, not only here in America, but across the world. And we'll talk about it at CPAC because CPAC's a huge celebration of not only domestic policy, but I think about Brazil and Japan and Italy and Hungary and the UK, even in those movements where you see populism on the rise. And we are fortunate enough to actually attend the Union Jack and Stars and Stripes Ball during the inauguration. And it was great to catch up with Mr. Farage and some other wonderful friends in the media and who have been part of this populist movement in order to make America great again and to bring, true peace to the Western world. And Europe is such an interesting mix right now. And sadly, for the United Kingdom, communists are in charge, especially the mayor of London. They have threatened to arrest Americans who go to London in order, based on their comments, almost like a social credit score like China has. I would just say good luck, and remember that the hostages that other countries take of Americans, President Trump has gotten 11 back in 24 days. And that's a warning to you, Hamas. You have less than 48 hours now to release all the hostages. If you don't, there will be hell to pay, as President Trump said.
And that is noon on Saturday, the deadline President Trump spoke about earlier in the week. We will see what transpires possibly this weekend. Also, speaking of this weekend, shifting gears, no pun intended, Sunday, Daytona 500, President Trump will be there in Florida for that great race. So just a lot going on from today all the way through the weekend. And of course, on as we cover a lot of America First news here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. For those of you that are just joining us and haven't been able to join us earlier for our coverage, there is a quote that I believe we have a slide for that we can show. If not, if we can't show the slide, I do want to share with you a quote from President Trump on January 20th, 2025. He said, quote, "In everything we do, my administration will be inspired by a strong pursuit of excellence and unrelenting success. We will not forget our country. We will not forget our Constitution, and we will not forget our God." President Trump on January 20th, 2025, a powerful, powerful moment in time there at the Rotunda, the U.S. Capitol building. And Robert, can you believe that that was actually just, how many days ago? We feel like it's been 3 years of coverage at this point in a good way, because it's been a lot of great things happening.
Yeah, there's plenty to talk about every day, and it's great to see that the cabinet is almost fully unified and together with every position filled. We're getting there. It seems like the U.S. Senate is actually ramping up its process, which is nice to see because the Democrats tried to delay a number of cabinet positions, but that will be a great picture to see them all together for their first official meeting.
Exactly. It will be great to see that. Also, earlier in the week, the White House on X posted an Elon Musk quote, and it said, "The people voted for major government reform, and that is what the people are going to get." So that's kind of it. It's very common sense leadership that we're seeing at this White House.
Right. Oh, there's no question about that, because President Trump came in here as an outsider, and he blew up the modern America, the modern American political system of, really Republicans and Democrats. If you put them into a satchel and shook them up in D.C., you really couldn't see a difference. All of their colors would bleed and run together. And then it was we the people who got screwed, quite frankly, by things like NAFTA and other programs put on by Bill Clinton, George W. Bush with the nation building and invading Iraq. And you think about the Patriot Act, my goodness, talk about domestic surveillance. And then Barack Obama runs against that as arguably a populist, and then ends up adopting most of Bush's policies, if not enhancing them. And then, of course, we had the absolute complete failure of Joseph R. Biden Jr. that, my goodness, if you even go to Bill O'Reilly's list of good and bad presidents, he's one of the worst. He's number two.
What was it? Who's that again? What's his name?
Joe Biden.
Yeah, I'd never heard of him.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, because he didn't do anything for this country that was positive.
It's terrible.
So we're glad to see the wins happening. A lot of people are posting that on X and on Truth. Just people are saying, "Are you tired of winning yet?" It's great to be winning, win, 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 and that's what is happening in our country. And we don't have to worry about another shoe dropping, in the sense of another foot dropping, in the sense of being concerned about things from the left. I mean, at the end of the day, you hope for the best, you prepare for the worst. We believe for great things, we pray for great things, and we keep working and keep moving forward as we see the beautiful American flag right there, Old Glory, across from it, the Indian flag right there, as we get ready to see the Prime Minister of India and the 47th Commander-in-Chief live right now at about 4:20 p.m. Eastern Time on Thursday, February 13th. Tomorrow, of course, Valentine's Day, so a lot of great things to buy here at the network as well. If you're looking for gifts and all that, obviously won't be there in time for tomorrow, but you never know if you get some serious overnight shipping. But definitely some great sponsors here we can tell you about a little bit later at the network. Now, we see a Marine out there, so we might be having a vehicle pull up. If that's the case, there it is. Let's go there live to D.C.
Minister of India, Mr. Narendra Modi, right there. Trump didn't come. Trump didn't come.
It's weird.
My God. So you just saw the Prime Minister of India. He went in the White House
I think
from
that
the
was
West
the
Wing,
press secretary.
and one of the secretaries welcomed him at the door, right that door over there. And but President Trump did not come to welcome him at the door. So this is the team.
House there. So next up is the Oval Office meeting between the president and the prime minister. As soon as we get a live feed or a replay of a feed, we will show that to you. And specifically later at the East Room, usually the East Room White House speeches by President Trump and a world leader will be live in real time. And then there'll be the Q&A from some of the press there. So that's what just happened there at 4:22 p.m. This all brought to you by some great sponsors, including MyPillow.com.
It's the mega sale. You want to take advantage of this, especially if you forgot that Valentine's Day is tomorrow, because you have the My Cross that Mr. Mike Lindell wears proudly around his neck, talking very personally about his conversion and his relationship with God. Save 30%. For the ladies as well, reversible if you want the white side of the cross. So black more for the guys, I guess, but of course pending your outfit choice for the evening. My towels, $29.98. Flannel sheets, $44.98 as well. MyPillow.com/RSBN. Up to 80% off everything. We have over 2,000 items on this great site, and we are both big fans of Mr. Mike Lindell, not only for his patriotism, his fighting for the free speech and electoral integrity, but also the quality products he makes right here in America.
Exactly. A great person, a great man of faith, and also a conservative, always good. All right, so MyPillow.com, as you see there, 4:23 Eastern, as the members of the military move away from the White House. Of course, usually a Marine would stand outside the White House as well, as this has been a lightning speed of a week. I mean, it's Thursday, and if you try and remember all of the things that have happened, good luck, because right now my focus is on what happened today. And Kash Patel moving on to a final vote to be confirmed as the director of the FBI. RFK Jr. being confirmed and sworn in. The president meeting with Howard Lutnick, the Department of Commerce secretary, having a press conference about reciprocal trade. What else was there? The swearing in of RFK Jr. with President Trump participating. And then finally, this international trip by Prime Minister Modi of India. So that's just one day of coverage. It's a lot.
Right. And don't forget Brooke Rollins, too, as Secretary of Agriculture. So much happening. And then we're also expecting cloture votes today on Howard Lutnick, most likely pending timing there with the U.S. Senate, and maybe Kelly Loeffler now. So some adjustments going on there. But that is Washington, D.C. It can move really, really fast or extraordinarily slow. So we'll just have to see how that goes there. But it's great because President Trump almost has his entire cabinet complete.
Exactly. And, of course, earlier this morning, Doge with USAID, and just more about the details of how USAID was sending money all over the place. Nothing really for America First at all. And again, that's a lot of our dollars being spent all over the place. So President Trump and Doge and everyone just shutting down USAID. And I did hear President Trump may have it open through Secretary of State Marco Rubio and done correctly. So we'll follow that as it happens, as it's slowly approaching the bottom of the hour. 4:25 right now. We just want to say thank you to all of the viewers that are watching right now, streaming wherever you're streaming. For those of you that have watched all the streams in various parts of Right Side Broadcasting Network today, you get 25 gold stars, because at the end of the day, that's a lot of coverage. But, you know, we're covering everything we can here at the network just to give a great context to the common sense leadership that we continually heard from President Trump on the campaign trail, Robert. I mean, do you recall any speech, pick one that you were at for a rally, where he was talking about things that we're seeing right now in action?
Oh, yes. Well, you know, actually, Probably the most profound would have been Madison Square Garden, because he had so many of these officials, including now Secretary Bobby Kennedy, there in the flesh, saying that they would do what they were going to do. Promises made, promises kept. And that was really a laser focused in the last month of the campaign from each event. I think about my time with MAGA Megan Kohler throughout Wisconsin, Green Bay down to Milwaukee, very policy driven speeches. And we saw that mixed in with the comedy as well, because the garbage truck. I mean, this response team on the campaign, many of them have ended up in the White House. And that's why you get such great content and such an ability to take on the fake news, because the turnaround of even getting the garbage truck into place to have Trump Vance on it, and then he looks out the window and he said, "This is dedicated to Kamala Harris and Joe Biden," because of what Joe Biden said about Trump supporters, calling them garbage. And then so many people going out and actually voting in the vest that he was wearing, and also the garbage bag, and I just got a real kick out of that.
Yeah, so it's wild to see, and also the fact that people would actually wear garbage bags to the rally. I mean, it was just quite the moment. How about when President Trump was serving up French fries at McDonald's? That was quite the moment as well. I mean, just seeing all of these different things just on the campaign trail, and those are just more of the comical kind of, trolling type ways, but at the end of the day, the amount of serious moments and speeches that we've heard. But the thing that I think we really, really, really like about the president is that when he speaks in such a way, it actually happens.
Right.
The promises made, promises kept was the signature of his first administration. Now we're seeing it unfolded as the second signature of the second administration, promises made, promises kept. If you go back to people like Barack Obama, great speeches, or other presidents, and they sound pretty good, but really what's going to happen when it's go time?
Right.
And we see, is it going to be right side of the history, positive, conservative, pro-American, pro-Constitution way, or is it completely the opposite? And we saw the contrast, haven't we, over the years of various presidents?
Well, especially the last quarter century, I would argue. The living predecessors of President Trump have really put us in a pickle, especially economically, with trillions of dollars in debt, and an America last uniparty globalist foreign policy. But that's why President Trump is so different, because he's able to listen, take in the information, and then execute on what's good for the American people, because he's surrounded himself with experts who truly want to serve the country. But even going back to McDonald's, it sounds kind of silly and cliche, but as he was serving up the fast food, he was asking, this is the right way to do it, and you have the manager showing that's how you don't make contact with the fries. He's obsessed with the tiny things, the macros and the micros of how things work and how you become successful. That's why he has such great kids, now adults and parents of their own, because he brought them down to the work sites, put the hard hats on. They talked to the construction managers, they talked to the builders. They got out there and they realized what it's like to earn $1. And that's why they're such exceptional people, because you hear about it all the time, and I hate to say it or even compare the two, but look at the last president's son. He's an absolute mess, and there's a reason for that, because he was brought up in this world of privilege and literally government gangsters, to Kash Patel's title of his book. He just learned how to make his way to get his way, and to absorb and consume everything that Washington, D.C. and that East Coast lifestyle had to provide. Not the Trumps. They're so good at giving back to people. It's remarkable.
They get it, and they're not elitists. That's what's interesting. Just because somebody makes a lot of money and is successful doesn't make them an elitist. There are ways of elitism that acts like they are better than the rest of everyone else, that they're beneath me. And that's just not the way it is anymore.
Right.
No matter if you're blue collar, white collar, or red collar, whatever collar, the point is, President Trump is the president of all of America, and you saw that President Trump was meaning business when he went through what he went through the past 4 years, that he stayed in the game. He didn't quit, and he followed his own words. He always said, don't quit, never ever give up, and he followed his own words. He had to go through a lot of stuff.
Oh,
he overcame all of that.
Right.
And then here we are, this is the 4th week of the administration. It's only February 13th. It's not even February 20th yet. It's not January 20th to February 20th. That's a month, right? It's not even there yet.
Right, and so much success happening right off the bat. So And we kind of anticipated it. This was a guy who we knew from the first term what he would do. Promises made, promises kept, and that's what he intends to do over the course of the next 4 years. But amazing executive orders, using that executive authority to get done what needs to be done, and also appointing these just outstanding people. It's so fun to look at this list and see them get to work immediately. And they haven't wasted a second getting on the ground literally to make America great again. And so much kudos to almost every day now, President Trump saying Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who was the first cabinet official to be sworn in, 99-0, confirmed by the Senate. Wow, January 20th, 2025, how great Marco is doing. And he talks about it every day, whether it was Central America to South America trip, or even the negotiations to get Mr. Fogel back from Russia. Marco Rubio is an outstanding Secretary of State.
Yeah, as soon as he was sworn in, he was sent off to another country already to help out in Panama for the Panama Canal, meeting with the United States Embassy there in Panama, and then onward to El Salvador and other Latin America countries, as he is someone that is like President Trump in a way of you go and you meet with the actual people that are doing the job.
Right, exactly.
And that's what we're seeing with Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, meeting with the actual military service members down on the southern border, saying hello to them, not staying just in the office at the Pentagon, which is a place still he has to be, of course, but leaving there soon after being sworn in and heading down to the southern border. So we've been showing you a lot of the DoD videos where you see them putting up metal wiring and just shoring up the border, sealing it up. And I look forward to seeing the entire wall complete, as do many Americans across the country.
Oh, it's going to be a wonderful thing. And the Army Corps of Engineers and the Marines and the Border Patrol all working overtime to get that done, and long overdue. I mean, we had literal wall laying down in Arizona. There's detailed video of this from the Department of Defense. And Joe Biden and Secretary Mayorkas flat out just did not tell the truth. President Trump proved that he has the legal authority to move in on the border as President of the United States, to seal that, to secure it. And I think it's music to the ears of all the governors of border states, including someone like Gavin Newsom. There's no question that they appreciate this, and we know Greg Abbott definitely does down in Texas, having fought so hard against the Biden administration to simply secure the Rio Grande sector and so many of the holes that were along the Texas-Mexican border.
Exactly. Switching gears now to the coverage we have here live. The Indian Prime Minister is now inside the White House there at the Oval Office. Prime Minister Modi arrived there at about, well, I'm looking at different times here because I'm looking at the Times of India newspaper just to see what's being reported there. It looks like the Prime Minister of India met with Vivek Ramaswamy earlier as well, and his father-in-law in Washington, D.C. We talked about diverse issues, including innovation, culture, and more. Also, President Trump, various speeches from the president, they're reporting on that as well. So it's interesting to see just globally, internationally, how various outlets cover world events like this one today. And, you know, not saying anything about the Times of India, but in general, though, it still has, outside of India, there's a leftist global lean when it comes to media, regardless of which country it's in. So it's not like it's just America that has so-called fake news. And I know many of you know that, but it's true. I mean, there's other ones out there. Now, interestingly enough, there's a report out that DOJ found some information about money being sent from our government to Thomson Reuters. Reuters is a huge international news agency with bureaus all across the world. And over the years, like, you know, different cable news outlets, they'd always refer to, well, the Associated Press says, or Reuters says, they would lean on these different places. If it's true as to what President Trump said today, because he said it looks like, and then also Elon saying on X that it looks like, that DOJ has found that the government has given millions of dollars to Thomson Reuters, a specific part of Reuters. And then there's some other articles on the left side of the aisle saying, well, this isn't Reuters, the news service, this is some other section of it. But regardless of what it is, you know, what's going on there with any of that? So we're following all of these stories. I mean, this is a stack full of stories that are happening here at Right Side Broadcasting Network.
And we know, too, now with USAID, they funded Politico, maybe some other news outlets, as Elon Musk continues to look through the details along with his team and the cabinet as well in their efforts to streamline the size and scope of the federal government and shrink it for you, the American people, so it could be more efficient and serving to you, who it's beholden to. Some people forgot that in Washington. $8.1 million going to Politico. So they are state-run media, but not anymore. And again, President Trump really embarrassing them in a jovial way at the National Prayer Breakfast. Oh, Politico's here. I hope you're enjoying your breakfast, because they have no shame. They'll show up to everything and continue to do what they're doing.
Exactly. We're going to go to Free Trump Book, and then I'm going to share with you just a post from President Trump about his press conference from just about an hour ago. Let's go to freetrumpbook.com. Mike Huckabee, the U.S. ambassador to Israel, also having his staff and himself writing these great books. Free Trump Book, The Kid's Guide to President Trump, or The Courage of the President. And there's also other basics, right? What is a Republican, a Democrat? How does the election system work? All the basic stuff. But we know that when we can see these kind of books, think about it, like the education system, if there are a left-leaning, teacher, they're going to spin in there. And these people, for some reason, sorry to say it this way, but they get off on the fact that they can teach a certain thing that is so anti what the truth is,
right,
and pour that woke junk into their systems. And it's just terrible to see. But this book right here does the exact opposite. It's just the truth of what happened, the common sense leadership. It's great to see it.
Oh, it is. And it's brought to you by the wonderful ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, who was such a great governor of Arkansas and a public servant and a great television host as well. FreeTrumpBook.com, The Kid's Guide to the Courage of the President, The Kid's Guide to President Trump as well. Already can get your Christmas shopping going, and what a great start, because it's on the house. You get 2 guides and a Christmas ornament. Say you're ahead of the game, being that it's only the middle of February.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to Christmas already. I was saying that to my wife the other day. I'm like, I can't wait for Christmas. Anyway.
Always a good time.
So President Trump saying earlier on Truth Social, on trade, I have decided for purposes of fairness that I will charge a reciprocal tariff, meaning whatever countries charge the United States of America, we will charge them. No more, no less. Interesting. It's an interesting move there. It's a great move, because at the end of the day, we're not going to get ripped off by these other countries. We have great people in office like President Trump, who knows everything about the word that he loves the most. He says tariff.
Right.
And then Howard Lutnick, the Department of Commerce Secretary, he is so well-versed in all of this and so successful with Cantor Fitzgerald and all of that. So President Trump knew exactly who he was picking for the Department of Commerce.
Oh, yes, and standing with him in the Oval Office there, great to get ahead of this cloture vote, because, these people, they want to go to work. They're ready to go, and they're not used to sitting on the sidelines by any means. And I think it's just been funny to watch the far left really struggle in its messaging over the course of the last couple of weeks. We had a bunch of whiners and losers at the Department of Education trying to break in the doors. That did not work. We had more whiners and losers in Baltimore City and Washington, D.C.
I love it. Just keep going, Robert. Keep
they're
going.
Claiming that
that's
Elon...
What it's true.
Yeah, it's amazing,
They are. That's exactly what it is. That's what we're seeing. They are whining, and they are losers.
Right.
It's as simple as that. And again, if you're looking at and you're wanting to hear, rocket science right now, this is not what we're doing here. This is common sense, at the end of the day. So I know you guys know that, most of you watching, and those of you that do not agree with anything we're saying, thank you for joining us here. It's nice to have you. And again, it's just great to bring hopefully more unity in this country. Again, I can't think of anybody really, unless there's a woke mind virus thing going on, that doesn't want more safety, doesn't want peace, doesn't want more money in their pocket, doesn't want the constitutional rights, like hello.
Right.
Right? So, all right, so it's 4:40. Of course, that is the live picture to the West Wing of the White House. At any moment, we may be getting video from inside the Oval Office where the Prime Minister and the President are meeting. Then we'll show you that. But we know also the East Room will have that press conference as well, as both leaders will be sharing what they've talked about. Of course, India, a partner of America in the sense of an ally. They wouldn't be meeting together in this fashion early on, specifically as we've spoken about. Israel, Japan, Jordan, and now India world leaders have been to the White House.
Yes, very big, important allies. Also, countries with very large GDPs, some of the most influential in the world, and have very difficult geopolitical challenges in their own right, being, where they sit in the world. I think especially Israel, of course, what they're going through since October 7th of 2023 has just been hell on earth for so many people. But then also Japan. They're surrounded by the Chinese Communist Party, North Korea, who is a rogue state. And it's really a small island nation of great people that are under direct threat of what China might do next. But the beautiful thing about these agreements and working together is that they will be deterred. They most likely will not invade Taiwan as long as President Trump is in office, because he's so right about that. The Russia-Ukraine incident would not have happened. Hamas would never have attacked Israel if President Trump was in office. But it takes hindsight sometimes to look back on things and realize where we might have gone astray, and that was by Joe Biden being in the White House on a number of occasions, not only as a senator and the vice president, but sadly, as president of the United States. It was almost like an empty suit there. No one was at home.
Yeah, and also another career politician. That's not what we want anymore as Americans, because we just saw what we, the people, and the majority of America voted for was an outsider. So President Trump has brought that level and brought that bar to a much higher level now. As we move forward and as we vote in this country, the people that voted for President Trump, we all are going to be looking for someone like that, in the sense of someone that is an outsider type, or someone that is a MAGA conservative, true and blue to we the people and the Constitution. So will that be J.D. Vance? Will that be any of the cabinet picks that President Trump has selected? Who knows? We'll see. So, and President Trump not getting ahead of himself either, being asked about if he's going to put his support by the vice president for that. He says time will tell. But at the end of the day, of course, Vice President J.D. Vance, an absolute rock star for this movement, traveling already to Virginia and out there to Ohio, just meeting with the people as well. And that's somebody that really resonates with the American people too, because of the fact of just in general, whether it's blue collar, white collar, whatever, you just come together and you meet.
And he was just in Paris, France for the AI Action Summit. And for Vivek, his son, also a Vivek, who just turned 5, they got to tour the Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris as a family. So kind of a special moment for them to get that together. And JD was actually mentioned on True Social, our 50th vice president. So relatable. He was just talking about his son on his birthday and how he likes to go to sleep late like his dad does, and he's trying to break him out of that habit, but he's just taking on everything in the world, kind of like his friend Vivek Ramaswamy, who is someone who always is trying to take in as much information as possible.
Definitely. All right, so we're following some breaking and developing news right now between Leading Report and Breaking 911. So first of all, we reported to you earlier because President Trump was asked a question about Doge officials entering the IRS building, and President Trump didn't deny that that was happening and kind of continued on with an answer there. So the point is, we're seeing the reports that Doge officials have entered an IRS building. That, we'll see what happens out of that. And then developing just more of a breaking news kind of developing situation way outside of the Beltway, out there in Oregon. More than 100 vehicles involved in a massive pileup on I-84 in Multnomah Falls, Oregon. Number of injuries unknown. A huge snowstorm out there. Speaking of storms, those of you last night, of course, whether you're up in the Northeast with some of the snow that happened all the way down here to Alabama and to the west and to the east, this storm came through, packed a decent punch here. Pretty sizable, severe thunderstorm. Very, very minor damage in the area, but it was a quick mover. About 40 miles per hour from west to east, and there were tornado watches. So we'll keep our eye on various weather patterns and events that happened here at the network too. I know that's a little bit shocking because it's outside of the political realm, but at the end of the day, you can count on us for being an America First network, and one that is obviously covering Washington, D.C. politics in the Beltway, but also outside the Beltway.
Right, and you mentioned earlier today that special app, if you want to share that again.
Yeah, definitely. Radar Scope. If you're wanting to monitor, tornado warnings, tornado watches, that kind of thing. I know a number of people from previous work in mainstream media that at the National Weather Service that were actually on their app or on their phone, they'd have the Radar Scope app. This is an app that's about $10 a year, And also, fun fact, the Boston Red Sox groundskeeper actually monitors storms, and he uses radar scope. I have it on my phone too. I also have, the Apple one and the Weather Channel and all that. But I really like to see, there's this part where it shows a red box around where an actual tornado warning is. But it's very detailed. It shows the directions of storms. It gets actually really complicated.
Right.
But on the onset there, you can figure out more about it. So anyway, Radar Scope, a great app there for weather. So other than that, looking at some other breaking news here, Breaking 911 says federal judge appointed by Biden temporarily blocks President Trump's order banning sex changes for those under 19. Judge Brendan Herson said the action seems to deny that this population even exists or deserves to exist. Very interesting there. Okay, so that from Breaking 911. But anyway, so monitoring news as it comes in here. Definitely not taking it always from the AP or Reuters and that kind of thing. More on the side of common sense reporting and conservative various sites out there as we kind of as a unit move forward. I know that we have a lot of people that love Right Side Broadcasting Network, and we love you back. At the end of the day, that's the truth. So 447.
Yes, 447, and thanks for being with us here today, because times do change, but President Trump is super busy with just making America great again. And you look at that beautiful shot of the White House with that sunshine. But we're expecting a press conference with the Prime Minister of the Republic of India, Mr. Modi, and also President Trump to begin at 5:10. Right now, they are in the middle of a bilateral meeting. Perhaps Secretary of State Marco Rubio joining in on that, as well as he's had with the other ones.
Exactly. So we'll see if we get any of the feed from the Oval Office there as we monitor the live coverage right now on our various feeds from the studio here. But again, today, if you missed any of the coverage, there's a lot to look through on Rumble, on YouTube, on X, if you'd like to see the posts. You can definitely get your, this is not a news brief in the sense of, in 15 minutes, we're going to give you all the news. We can totally do that. And we have done that a few times. But if you're looking to watch the entire event happen, just go ahead to go on Rumble or YouTube, X, Truth Social. We post a lot of our content on there as well. So that's what it's about. A lot of people say it's the content that people want anymore, and obviously we're providing that for you here at the network. So glad you're joining us. And we spoke about DOGE quite a bit, of course. And yesterday the Government Accountability Office, the White House said that the Accountability Office actually released a report just last year finding that no area of the federal government is immune to fraud. We estimated that the federal government could lose between $233 billion and $521 billion annually to fraud. So they say at the White House Communications Office, President Trump is determined to be a good steward of taxpayer dollars and put an end to fraudulent and wasteful spending. So if you want receipts, they have the receipts.
Yeah, it's all in the blueprint there, and this administration ready to expose it, and especially with someone like Elon Musk to help out. It's gigantic. It's amazing to think how much waste has taken place over the course of the last few years, but this group of people really righting the sails and putting it back on the right side of history for sure.
Exactly. Those of you on the conservative side of the aisle and those of you that are podcasters and anybody watching right now, hello to you. We're on the same team. We're believing for great things to happen in this country. We look forward to seeing the president here, this live feed from outside the West Wing of the White House. You see the Marine standing there as the Oval Office is now occupied, of course. We have President Trump in there and the Prime Minister of India. So can you tell us, it's true, right, that the Marine would stand outside whenever the president's in the Oval Office? Is it that side, or is it somewhere else that the Marine would stand?
That's the correct spot. That is right there, and we'll stay at attention. Sometimes on the other side, you'll see that other entrance that faces the Eisenhower Executive Building, but whenever the Marine is standing at that entrance specifically, the president is in the Oval Office.
It's always cool to know the inside scoop there. And also, if you're just joining us and you didn't watch any live information from earlier, we know that the First Lady, Melania Trump, has announced that the White House will actually have open tours to the public coming up. And so what has to happen there, though, is you have to reach out to your Congress member to in order to get those kind of tickets. It's 3 months in advance. It's a whole process. But if you go to whitehouse.gov/visit, that will bring you to that. So always cool to see the White House.
Oh yes, always a special moment. And if you just caught there on the split screen, when the Marines change guard like that, and it's very ceremonial, as you saw the Marine open the door for his colleague, and he's about to open the door for another person coming in. So that's always a special moment to enter through those doors and out of those doors when the president is in the office, because they are the highest order of gentlemen to greet any visitor and any staffer coming in and out of the White House, and they go right back to attention. So kind of the ornate, special nature of our nation's capital.
Exactly. Always good to see that, as well as earlier we saw RFK Jr. Be sworn in as the Secretary of the Human and Health Services Secretary there. So let's see if we could possibly go to that video from earlier. If we can't do that, no worries, as we have this live feed right here with the Prime Minister of India inside the Oval Office there, meeting with the President. As just earlier, RFK Jr. sworn in as the HHS Secretary. President Trump obviously participating in that. A lot of the family there as well, and Marjorie Taylor Greene was there. Yes,
Senator Rand Paul and Senator Ron Johnson, huge supporters of Mr. Kennedy as well. And wow, what a time to be alive, because DC Drano mentioned on Truth as well, Republicans have supported a Kennedy, and wow, just it's 2025.
Yeah, no, it's wild times. You know, you think back to 2016 when President Trump won in November, and what that was like, that sense of patriotic pride and love for our country. And we were talking then that it was called the silent majority. Now, of course, it's not silent anymore, which is great. And producer, if you can send me a message on our internal communications. I can't hear you on the IFB there. But what I'm saying is we saw that amazing moment in time. And now we're all the way in 2025, and we're going to have President Trump and this team all the way through until 2029.
Right.
You know, I know 2028 will be a new president general election, but still, I mean, what can if he's going at this pace now, what will our country look like from a year from now?
Oh, yes. Well, I think safer for sure, especially with the recent exiting of illegal migrants, especially those who are the worst of criminals. Many are in Guantanamo Bay facing justice, or even to their native lands as well, again, facing justice for their crimes. But, you know, it's the damage was done for so many hundreds of thousands of people who lost their lives due to migrant violence or even the fentanyl crisis. So that I'm sure, if you look a year from now, the crime has to drastically reduce throughout the country.
Exactly, and that's we'll be seeing that. But it's just great to, from the base of our country, the constitutional rights, that they are secured. That President Trump won't forget about our country, won't forget about the Constitution, won't forget about our God. That in his speech on January 20th, that is really nice to know that that's the case. And also all of the cabinet picks and the rejuvenation or the excitement from the military now,
right?
Because they have a commander-in-chief that is an actual commander-in-chief.
Oh, no question about that. I mean, someone who really loves the job, the way he stands and salutes. We saw that at the Super Bowl with a great rendition of the American national anthem by John Baptiste, and President Trump standing at attention and the crowd roaring when they saw the camera pan over to him. So that was a really special moment this week.
Yeah, exactly. It's awesome to see all of the various things going on, including seeing the president. You know, he's going to be in Daytona for the Daytona 500 on Sunday. So, you know, I don't think, he doesn't stop.
No,
I mean, we already know he doesn't
right.
stop, but he really doesn't. He keeps on going. And he said one time at a speech, and I was surprised he said it, but he did. He goes, listen, the way to stay out of depression is just to work your you-know-what off, basically.
Right.
Just keep going. Keep working. Don't give up. And that's the thing. When you have God and you have grit, and, you know, that's a good combination.
Well, especially when you're working on the behalf of someone else for the greater good. There's something so satisfying about that. And that's why I think he's really enjoying this position. And that moment when he was sworn in inside those first executive orders in the Oval Office, you know, he had mentioned after a long day and a continuously long night with all the balls, they asked him, "What's it like to be Baxter?" He goes, "Oh, it's indescribable. So wonderful." We're going to go to the White House now for President Trump and Prime Minister.
Thank you very much. It's a great honor to have Prime Minister Modi of India. He is a great friend of mine for a long time. We've had a wonderful relationship, and we kept the relationship during the 4-year period. The period that was a very interesting period indeed. I got to see how not to do things, and we've just started up again, and we have, I think, some very big things to talk about. Number one is they're going to be purchasing a lot of our oil and gas. We have more oil and gas than any other country in the world by far, and they need it, and we have it. And we're going to talk about trade. We're going to talk about many things, but it's really an honor to see you, and you have been my friend for a long time, and congratulations on having done a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
नरेंद्र जी, आपको मिलकर बहुत समान महसूस हो रहा है कि मुझे बहुत खुशी कि आज फिर आप यहाँ पर आए हैं और हम पिछले 4 साल आपसे हमारी बात हुई है और हम उस रिश्ते को आगे बढ़ा रहे हैं जो 4 साल में हमने पहले बढ़ाया है। और ये बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण और रुचिकर समय आने वाला है हमारे सामने दोनों देशों के लिए। आपने देखा है कि हमारे पास बहुत कुछ करने को है। अभी पहली बात है तेल और गैस की बात है, और हमारे पास काफ़ी तेल और गैस है और आप इंडिया में उसकी ज़रूरत है जो हम देंगे। बाद में बात आती है ट्रेड की, व्यापार की, और इसके अलावा हमें बहुत खुशी है और बहुत ही हमारे लिए एक सम्मान की बात है कि मेरे एक मित्र आज वापस यहाँ आए हैं और उनसे मिलकर मुझे बहुत खुशी है।
Would you like to say anything more?
No, I'm okay.
एक्सेलेंसी, मैं सबसे पहले तो फिर एक बार आपको यहाँ पर देख करके और आपको यहाँ पर मिल करके बहुत प्रसन्नता हो रही है। मैं आपके इस भव्य विजय के लिए आपको बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूँ। न सिर्फ मेरी तरफ से, 140 करोड़ भारतवासियों की तरफ से आपको मैं बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूँ और बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं देता हूँ।
Your Excellency, I'm delighted to see you back in the White House and to meet with you today in this room. On behalf of 1.4 billion people of India, let me convey my heartiest congratulations to you on your grand and historic victory.
ये बहुत ही सुखद संयोग है कि भारत की जनता ने 60 साल के बाद किसी प्रधानमंत्री को तीसरी बार लगातार देश की सेवा करने का अवसर दिया है। और मेरे लिए खुशी की बात है कि मुझे इस कार्यकाल में राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप के साथ फिर एक बार कार्य करने का अवसर मिला है। मैं कह सकता हूं कि राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप के पहले 4 वर्ष का मेरा जो अनुभव था, जो गर्मजोशी थी, जो उत्साह था, जो विश्वास था, वही गर्मजोशी, वही उत्साह, वही विश्वास के साथ हम फिर एक बार साथ मिलकर के आगे बढ़ेंगे।
Last year, the people of India gave me the opportunity to serve them for the 3rd consecutive time, and it has happened in the history of India in the last 60 years for the first time. And in this term, I will have an opportunity to work with you over the next 4 years, and it's a great pleasure to see the two coincide. And I can say from my past experience of working with you in your first term that we will continue to advance the India-US strategic partnership with the same warmth, with the same trust, and with the same excitement.
और मेरे लिए खुशी की बात है कि आते ही राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप ने एक मित्र की तरह मुझे पुराने अहमदाबाद के स्टेडियम की याद दिलाई। ये बात सही है कि ह्यूस्टन में हाउडी मोदी और गुजरात में अहमदाबाद में नमस्ते ट्रंप, वो दो एक ऐसी बहुत बड़े विशाल कार्यक्रम रहे जिसकी गूंज आज भी भारत के हर कोने में सुनाई दे रही है।
I'm happy that as soon as I entered this room, my friend reminded me of Ahmedabad and the cricket stadium where we held the big rally, and the events that we did, the mega events that we did in Ahmedabad, Namaste Trump, or the Howdy Modi in Houston. We had conveyed a very strong message of our friendship through those events, and the resounding echo of those events can be heard even today in India and the world.
भारत अमेरिका संबंधों को प्रगाढ़ बनाने में, उसको एक नई ऊंचाई देने में और व्यापक देने में राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप की पहली टर्म की बहुत बड़ी भूमिका रही है और मुझे विश्वास है कि दूसरे टर्म में भी हम उसी गति से आगे बढ़ेंगे।
Excellency, you made immense personal contribution towards strengthening of our relations, towards making them more comprehensive and in attaining unprecedented heights in our relationship. And I firmly believe that in your second term, we will work with even more speed.
और मैं जैसे भारत के नागरिकों को वादा किया है कि मैं तीसरे टर्म में 3 गुना गति से काम करूंगा और मुझे विश्वास है कि राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप के साथ आने वाले 4 वर्ष हम भारत अमेरिका के संबंधों की गति में 2 गुना गति से काम करेंगे।
As I had promised to the people of India that in my third term as the Prime Minister of India, we will work with thrice the speed. I firmly believe that with President Trump during the next 4 years, during his second term, we will work with twice the speed that we did in the first term.
मैं राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप से एक बात हमेशा अप्रिशिएट करता आया हूं, सीखता आया हूं कि वे राष्ट्रहित को सर्वोपरि रख करके काम करते हैं। राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप की तरह मुझे भी भारत के हितों को सर्वोपरि रखते हुए कार्य करना ये मेरे लिए सौभाग्य की बात है।
One thing that I deeply appreciate and I learned from President Trump is that he keeps the national interest supreme, and like him, I also keep the national interest of India at the top of everything else, and this has been my real fortune.
राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप की जब भी बात आती है तब मेक अमेरिका ग्रेट अगेन हर किसी को याद आता है, हर किसी को उससे प्रेरणा मिलती है। वैसे ही भारत में विकसित भारत 2047 जब भारत की आजादी के 100 साल होंगे तब तक भारत को विकसित बनाने के संकल्प के साथ 140 करोड़ देशवासियों का संकल्प, उसको आज नई गति मिल रही है, नई ऊर्जा मिल रही है।
President Donald Trump and Make America Great Again are inseparable. Whenever we talk about President Trump, one has to talk about Make America Great Again. Similarly, that vision inspires everybody. Similarly, in India, we have the resolve of 1.4 billion people of India that by the time India reaches the 100th anniversary of its independence, we will make our country a developed country by 2047. And this is getting new speed and new resolve.
अमेरिका विश्व का सबसे पुराना लोकतंत्र, भारत विशाल लोकतंत्र, और इसलिए हम दोनों का मिलने का मतलब 1+1 2 नहीं, 1 और 1 11 होता है और ये 11 की शक्ति, वो ताकत विश्व के कल्याण के भी काम आएगी।
US is the world's oldest democracy, and India is the world's largest democracy. So when India and the US come together, they make 1+1 11 and not 2. And this is the power of 11 that is going to work for the welfare of the humanity.
मैं राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप का, मेरे एक अच्छे मित्र का हृदय से आभार व्यक्त करता हूं कि हम फिर से एक बार प्रगति की राह पर नई ऊंचाइयों को छूने के लिए चल पड़ेंगे।
I once again thank my friend President Trump, and we together resolve that we will together march towards progress and towards prosperity for our nations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And he's doing a great job in India. Everybody talks about it. He's doing a really fantastic job. A great leader. Great leader.
मोदी जी बहुत अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं भारत में और हर कोई इसकी बात कर रहे हैं कि वे बहुत बड़े नेता हैं, बहुत महान नेता हैं।
मैं आपका बहुत आभारी हूं आपके इन शब्दों के लिए, और मुझे विश्वास है कि भारत का हर नागरिक आपकी इस भावना का आदर करता है।
I thank you for your warm words, Mr. President, and I firmly believe that every person in India respects your sentiments.
Thank you. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Thanks a lot.
Any questions, please?
Yes, President. You are both very popular leaders in your respective countries. You've spoken about a common sense diplomatic doctrine. So what's a Trump-Modi doctrine that we should expect from the meetings
दोनों ही बहुत popular leaders हैं।
make our world better and safer?
Well, I think more than anything else will be the unity. We have great unity. We have great friendship, he and I and our countries. And I think it's only going to get closer. But it's very important that we remain united as countries. We're friends, and we're going to stay that way.
How are you going to fight China if you're going to be tough with India on trade? How are you going to beat China then?
We're in very good shape to beat anybody we want, but we're not looking to beat anybody. We're looking to do a really good job. We've done a fantastic job for the American people. We had a great 4 years, and we were interrupted by terrible administration, absolutely terrible. They didn't know what they were doing, and now we're putting it back together, and I think it's going to end up being much stronger than it was before, even much stronger than it was before.
प्रधानमंत्री जी आप हमेशा से May I? Yeah. President Trump, first of all, congratulations for the fantastic 24 days of your presidency. Historic and unprecedented decisions that you made, transformational reforms. I'm particularly impressed by the expose on USAID. And I would like you to share with us if you think USAID had a role in election interference in the US in 2020 and Indian elections in 2024.
So it could have had a role. There were a lot of bad things that happened in 2020. I think bad things happened in 2024, but it was too big to rig. We won by a tremendous margin. We won every swing state. We won the popular vote by millions of votes. So it was too big to rig. But yeah, I think they probably tried. We're looking to go to a system now much different, where one-day voting, voter ID, and we have to do that. And paper ballots. We want paper ballots. And when they do that, we're going to clean it up very, very well. But we had a great 2016. We had a much better 2020 election. But bad things happened. And we had the best of all. We had, they say, the most consequential in history, 129 years. Most consequential. So it was a great election, and it gives me a chance to work again with the Prime Minister and India. And we're going to have a great relationship together.
Mr. President, do you see
प्रधानमंत्री जी कल प्रेसिडेंट ट्रंप ने प्रेसिडेंट पुतिन से बात की है और युद्ध को रोकने की बात कही है. आप हमेशा से सर.
Do you see India playing a role in your plan to broker a peace in Ukraine? And if I could ask you about a development in your hometown today, the U.S. attorney has resigned over the DOJ's request to drop the case into Eric Adams. Did you personally request the Justice Department to drop that case?
No, I didn't. I know nothing about it. I did not. I think that, just to answer your other question, we're just going to get along well. We're going to get along with all countries. We're going to do very well. We're going to be doing, I think, record business, record numbers. And we're going to work with India also. We have some very big trade deals to announce in the very near future.
प्रधानमंत्री जी कल प्रेसिडेंट ट्रंप ने प्रेसिडेंट पुतिन से बात की है. आप दुनिया के अकेले ऐसे लीडर हैं जिन्होंने प्रेसिडेंट पुतिन से मीटिंग की है, प्रेसिडेंट जेलेंस्की से मीटिंग की है, पहले प्रेसिडेंट बाइडेन से मिले और अब प्रेसिडेंट ट्रंप से मिले. आपको लग रहा है कि जिस शांति की बात आप करते आए थे उसमें अब भारत रूस और यूक्रेन को युद्ध खत्म कराने के लिए अमेरिका के साथ मिलकर कोई नया रास्ता बना सकता है? और दूसरा, प्रेसिडेंट ट्रंप भारत आने वाले हैं, प्रेसिडेंट पुतिन भारत आने वाले हैं, तो क्या भारत भूमि से शांति का संदेश जा सकता है? And Mr. President, what you would like to say about the Bangladesh issue, because we saw and it is evident that how the deep state of United States was involved to regime change during the Biden administration. Then Muhammad Yunus made Junior Soros also. So what is your point of view about the Bangladesh?
And what is the role that the deep state played in the situation in Bangladesh?
Well, there was no role for our deep state. It was. This is something that the Prime Minister has been working on for a long time and has been worked on for hundreds of years, frankly. I've been reading about it. But I will leave Bangladesh to the Prime Minister.
जहां तक रूस और यूक्रेन के बीच का लड़ाई का सवाल है, मुझे खुशी है कि राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप ने शांति के प्रयासों का इनिशिएटिव लेते हुए कल राष्ट्रपति पुतिन से बात की है. दुनिया का एक सोच रही है कि भारत न्यूट्रल है. भारत न्यूट्रल नहीं है. भारत का अपना पक्ष है और भारत का पक्ष है शांति. हम पहले दिन से ही, और मैंने राष्ट्रपति पुतिन को उनकी मौजूदगी में मीडिया के सामने कहा था कि ये समय युद्ध का नहीं है, और मेरा एक कन्विक्शन है कि समस्याओं का समाधान युद्ध के मैदानों में नहीं निकलता है, वो टेबल पर चर्चा करके ही निकलता है।
As far as the Russia-Ukraine conflict is concerned, I'm very happy that President Trump has taken initiatives to restore peace and had telephone calls with President Putin and President Zelensky. The world had this thinking that India somehow is a neutral country in this whole process, but this is not true. India has a side, and that side is of peace. From the very first day, I have been talking about the importance of dialogue and diplomacy and a peaceful solution. And when I met President Putin in the presence of media, I had told him that this is not the era of war, and I have firm conviction that problems cannot be resolved on the battlefield. The two sides will have to come to the negotiating table.
शांति के हर प्रयास का हम समर्थन करते हैं, और राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप ने जो इनिशिएटिव लिया है, मैं उनका हर सख्त समर्थन करता हूं।
We support all efforts aimed at establishing peace.
Can you let him translate, please?
Trump has taken to welcome it and support it.
I just want to add to that. We had a very good phone call yesterday with President Putin. It lasted maybe an hour and a half. It was excellent, and I think we went a long way toward getting a solution to the horrible war where so many people are being killed, especially soldiers on the battlefield. At least 1.5 million soldiers have been killed on a ridiculous war that would have never happened if I were president. But we've got a long way to. I think we've got a long way to solving it. Tomorrow there's a meeting in Munich, and then next week there's a meeting in Saudi Arabia, not with myself or President Putin, but with top officials. And Ukraine will be a part of it too. And we're going to see if we can end that war. That war is a horrible war. It's a vicious, bloody war. We want to end it. To your other question, that U.S. attorney was actually fired. I don't know if he or she resigned, but that U.S. attorney was fired. Okay, go ahead.
What is the role? Prime Minister, I have a question. This will be U.S. competition with China.
Say
what
it.
is the role that you expect India to play? This will be U.S. competition with China, and in your broader vision for peace in the Middle East.
US or China के competition.
Well, I think we're doing very well in our competition with everybody. I think you're going to see a nation that really is going forward at a very rapid pace. Our economy is going to be fantastic. We're doing things to make it that way. We announced some very big elements today of success. I call it an element of success. Reciprocal tariffs, so that somebody charges us, we charge them the same amount, which has never been done in our country before. We've always been taken advantage of by other countries, and we allowed that to happen foolishly, but we're not going to allow that any longer. So I think we're going to do very well. We've been doing they say the last 3 weeks was among the best 3 weeks ever for a start in a presidency. There's never been anything like it. And when you see what we've been able to do in 3 weeks, people are really amazed. Even the Prime Minister mentioned it. I think other countries are looking at it. But I just want to thank everybody for being here. This is a terrific man. We're going to make some wonderful trade deals for India and for the U.S. And thank you all very much. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. Quickly out this way. Quickly, guys. Come on, quickly out this way.
All right, so it is 5:39 Eastern Time as we await the East Room press conference with President Trump and the Prime Minister Modi of India. We saw earlier today the two discuss various topics inside the Oval Office. Now they'll shift from the West Wing of the White House over to the East Wing for that East Room press conference. As you see right there, the microphones getting tested and all of the things getting situated there in the beautiful East Room of the White House. We're about 20 minutes from 6 o'clock on this Thursday, February 13th. I'm Matthew Alvarez here at RSBN Live. Of course, you saw myself and Robert McNeely pretty much holding down the fort all day today with so much coverage going on from the USAID situation with DOGE, uncovering so much information from this morning, to Kash Patel moving on to get to be one step closer, becoming the director of the FBI. Then on top of that, then RFK Jr. Becoming the Department of Health and Human Services director. We saw Brooke Rollins moving on as the AG cabinet member there. So many things today, including the press conference with the great Howard Lutnick, the Department of Commerce Secretary, standing to the left side of President Trump at the Oval Office, talking about the Reciprocal Trade Act and the situation there, with specifics that I'd like to share with you here from President Trump via his Truth Social page, saying on trade, quote, "I have decided for purposes of fairness that I will charge a reciprocal tariff," meaning whatever countries charge the United States of America, we will charge them no more and no less. So if you'd like to get more details on what that all means, you can go to Donald Trump's Truth Social about 3 hours ago. Quite the lengthy post in regards to, for many years, the president saying the U.S. has been treated unfairly by other countries, both friend and foe. This system will immediately bring fairness and prosperity back into the previously complex and unfair system of trade. So a lot of details there just on the trade sector, the economy. Of course, we know President Trump, from the signature of his first administration, promises made, promises kept. We're seeing that happen here as well in the second administration, as we are less than a month in to the first situation here with the president as the 47th commander-in-chief. Quite amazing to see this historic speed. I don't think I've seen any other president ever sign as many executive orders, but also get things done so quickly as this president has, because we had a lot against us coming into this 47th commander-in-chief, this second administration for President Trump. So many things, so many sections of life and departments really messed up. Let's just put it very easily, bluntly, very screwed up situation. But President Trump, like a great auto mechanic that knows exactly what to do for a vehicle that's been banged up, but still has another 700,000 miles to it, but indirectly, in the sense of our country, we want to have a long, long time of great things happening in this nation. But the president working and working with a team. It's not just him working on the tire and making sure the oil is at the right level and the transmission fluid and on. We see that there's an entire team working around him, including the cabinet picks, all people that are straight up MAGA, straight up for President Trump, and more importantly, straight up for we the people. And that's what we see here with President Trump. As we get ready to go live there to the East Room, we're going to see the Prime Minister of India and then the President of the United States. Usually the way we've been seeing it is on the left side of your screen would be the foreign leader, and then the leader of the free world on the right there at the right podium. I believe that's where President Trump will be standing today as the press gathers in the room, as staff and government from India and also our government meet in that room, and we hear what the two leaders have talked about in the Oval Office from just about an hour ago. As you heard, a lot of that information right here on RSBN. Thank you so much for streaming in as we continue to cover everything inside the Beltway of Washington, D.C. Of course, that's 395, 495 there, that Beltway. Of course, a lot can be done inside the swamp, but now we know we have a leader that is draining the swamp more than ever before. I mean, look at what DOJ is doing right now. Hearing reports that DOJ officials have gone into the building of the Internal Revenue Service. What are they going to find? We will see. They already found a lot with other agencies and departments. So at the end of the day, this is a straight up transparent situation as we see the president now on the daily. On the daily, we hear from President Trump or see the president, whether it's an Oval Office press conference, an East Room press conference like this, or on Truth Social, we see him sharing information about what is next, or his thoughts or his concerns about certain things going on. And then we see that as well from Elon Musk, and we see that from other cabinet picks that are doing great jobs already, that have been already in various positions, like the Attorney General of the United States, the lead of the Department of Justice, Pam Bondi, who just had a press conference yesterday and announced information about those green light laws in New York, to many people across the cabinet that President Trump has brought in for the purpose of making this country great again. So obviously seeing a number of other things as well, including the great Kash Patel on his way to becoming the director of the FBI. There are many great FBI agents out there. There are some that we have seen that maybe not so much, as you guys know, especially within the leadership positions, but that's all getting cleaned out. At the end of the day, we are a country of laws, and yes, we want to follow the law, but if you're doing things that are illegal or lawfare and lying against especially somebody that is leading this nation, President Trump, they tried that and it didn't work, and he overcame so many things, and we the people stand with the people's president, but not only the people's president, the Constitution and this land and all of these cabinet picks that are all outsiders in their own right. They're all people that President Trump and his team has vetted like never before, probably maybe never in all time with the presidency, because of what happened during those first 4 years of the president's 45th administration there and as the 45th president, and then the years ensuing, those 4 years after that. We don't even have to go through all of the specific details when it comes to what President Trump had to take on. And it's not just because President Trump has been so successful or so great at what he has done. It's because he stood there for we the people. And now we know what kind of attack that the left wanted to do against we the people, because all you have to do is look at the representative of we the people, and that is Donald J. Trump. So we know that we can't just sit back and relax now. It's obviously time to put the pedal to the metal in a way that is similar to what we're going to see on Sunday when President Trump is at the Daytona 500. It's going to be great to see him there. But the historic speed that we're seeing the president work at right now is quite remarkable. It's historic, and it's with strength. And who better to be in that White House than President Trump, and also the great cabinet picks that he has. Again, Howard Lutnick at the Department of Commerce. How about the FCC chairman? How about the Department of Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who is now meeting with Vladimir Zelensky in Ukraine to hopefully work on Ukraine and Russia to have a peace deal situation come to pass as soon as possible. How about the meeting with the Prime Minister of Israel just the other day with the President, discussing various ways to bring more peace to the Middle East, but also giving a stark warning this week from the Oval Office to Hamas, saying you have until noon on Saturday to release all hostages or all bets are off. So what will that look like? We'll see what happens. We are covering it here at RSBN Live. If you'd like to follow us on Right Side Broadcasting Network, just go to @RSBN on Truth Social or @RSB Network on X. If you'd like to follow me, it's @Matthew Alvarez, as we're about 10 minutes away from the top of the hour on this very, very busy day in conservative news. Not only conservative news, America First news, which is basically the same thing. A lot of stories happening, and we're covering it here at the network. Of course, there are a number of great sponsors that we want to share with you here at the network, including Republican Red Winery. I'm going to get to that specific information right here, as you can go to republicanred.com for more information. Are you ready to toast the golden age of America? So whether you prefer white, red, or sparkling, Republican Red Winery has patriotic wines your friends and family will rave about. Be sure to check out the iconic 45 to 47 Pinot Noir that you see there on your screen, or the newly released Golden Age Sparkling Wine. I have a couple of them right here. This is the Red Blend Pinot Noir also, and the Sparkling Wine right here as well. It's always fun to have Robert McNeely here with me. We could talk about the wines and all that, but Robert, his shift has ended for the day. We'll be seeing him, of course, tomorrow, and you'll see me as well. So let's continue on with the Republican Red, a great sponsor here at the network. Republican Red is America's winery, of course. These bold wines let others know where you stand, inspire important conversations, and with more than 50,000 delighted customers, Republican Red Winery has earned a sterling reputation for exceptional quality and outstanding customer service. So all you have to do is go to republicanred.com to support this generational family-run business dedicated to producing 100% American-made wines. And to celebrate the golden age, you're getting offered an exclusive situation here where you get a percentage off with using the RSBN promo code. So go to republicanred.com, 45 to 47. And, I like the hat, the MAGA hat that has 45-47 on it, because let's be honest, he won the 46th presidency as well. But still, we know that he's back at the White House, and he's meeting with yet another great world leader here. This is his fourth world leader he's met with in less than a month. All of the executive orders, all of the work being done, this is, as they say, night and day compared to what it was like under the fake administration of the last administration that was America Last, and going woke and going broke and really causing a lot of concern around the country. But at the end of the day, God be with the president, and God be with this country as we move forward in freedom. And also God be with many nations across the world. I mean, at the end of the day, so many people just want freedom. They just want what we have. They want that freedom. And Brazil, under Jair Bolsonaro, had great freedom. And then they got the election taken from them, and Jair Bolsonaro, still a great leader, but not the president of Brazil anymore. So many terrible things happening in that country, censorship and all of that. We're understanding the playbook of leftists. Now, we're not talking about every Democrat or every liberal across the country. We're talking about those that want to control the people. So we see Nigel Farage in the UK. He wants it to be a free nation that is doing great. Well, not getting that too much under the current leadership out there. So just spitting the truth right now. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to know that, hey, we want to be free in this country. So glad to see President Trump again here at the East Room of the White House in just a few minutes. Let's go over some other stories that we're following. Before I get to that, I do want to share with you the same quote that I've shared. This is probably the fourth time today. I'm sorry that I have to read it again, but I'm not, because it is actually a great quote. So from President Trump on January 20th, 2025, says this: "In everything we do, my administration will be inspired by a strong pursuit of excellence and unrelenting success. We will forget our country, we will not forget our Constitution, and we will not forget our God." President Trump saying those great words on January 20th inside the U.S. Capitol building at the Rotunda on January 20th, 2025. I posted that on my Truth Social as well, and it's interesting. Sometimes you post something, you get a few likes here and there, great. But that one, it's got a decent amount. And I don't have a lot of followers on there, but I love every one of you guys. Thanks for following. But also, we're in this together as we move forward in this country. But that quote got a lot of likes because it resonates. And it resonates with me personally. It resonates with many of you. And it's found on whitehouse.gov. If you go to the contact page, it's what pops up. And I saw that last night, and I said, man, I got to post it. So there you go. We're about 6 minutes out, 6 minutes out from the top of the hour, getting ready to go there to the East Room of the White House. And those of you that have stuck with RSBN Live since this morning, when Robert McNeely was covering all the news of the day, including myself, midday and through the night now, thank you so much for watching. I mean, that's a lot of live feeds, a lot of live coverage, but this is what you call a 24/7 news cycle. Talk about making media great, I guess, again, because I don't know if media has ever been great, to be honest with you. There have been parts of it that have been good, but great, I don't know. Maybe making the media great again is happening on the conservative media side as the media is being reformed. As many of you are saying, I'm turning off all those other stations out there that have been lying to me for years and have been coming against the American people. And you just have to look at the White House press briefing room and to see that there is a pocket of people that are on the conservative side of the aisle in that press briefing room. It's great to see that. But at the end of the day, too, the press is free in the sense of you are allowed to say something that maybe all of us don't agree with on the left side of the aisle. Here's the problem. When you constantly are lying to the American people, that is unethical and incorrect. It's wrong, and it's definitely also not just a lie. It's a lie that can also produce something that makes you think a certain way, feel a certain way about a certain policy issue, and we have to understand that that's part of how voting happens. If you keep getting lied to all the time, and then you think, okay, I'm going to vote for that person because the media said so. So that's why we at Right Side Broadcasting Network absolutely love common sense and the truth, and that's what we will work to cover here. And also bring you these live events in its entirety from start to finish at the White House. If there's a press conference or a briefing at the Pentagon or over at the State Department or yesterday at the Department of Justice, if you missed Pam Bondi, the Attorney General of the United States, the top leader of the DOJ. If you missed that press conference yesterday, we have that on our Rumble page as well. So go ahead and check it out and watch and just get a real good feel for each of these cabinet picks, each of these people that the president has selected for these positions in our country. I know sometimes we joke around here at the network, just like President Trump jokes around on stage, but then we also know how to get serious. And we know that this is a very serious time in our country, even though President Trump is the one at that White House. And even though we're seeing a lot of great things happen, may God protect all of us and God protect everyone at the White House, because at the end of the day, we're moving forward and believing for great things in this country. So just a few minutes from 6 o'clock. The story that really keeps catching my eye is Doge right now, because President Trump is saying that billions and billions of dollars being given away illegally. The president said this yesterday. This is all as Doge is doing a great job of getting rid of waste, fraud, and abuse. We're seeing that go at historic speed as well. So we're seeing also at the White House the X account posting the other day a quote from Elon Musk saying the people voted for major government reform, and that is what the people are going to get. So we're seeing that happen right now, not only at the White House, but in various departments around Washington, D.C., as all of them are pretty much getting flipped upside down. If you have a bunch of, this is a terrible analogy, but I'll go with it. But if you have a shoe that has a bunch of mud or stones and rocks in it, you want to just dump all that junk out of there because you want to fit in that shoe and it feels comfortable, right? Well, that's basically what's happening with all of these departments. We're getting all that junk out of there. It's draining the swamp. And then we're seeing it happen. So we can put our foot in there and start walking towards something that'll be great for this country. And not only that, it's not just to be like, oh, wow, look at all these things that President Trump's doing. We actually just want to get back to our lives. We want to enjoy our families. We want to go to a sporting event. We want to have more safety out there. We don't want to be concerned about illegal immigrants that have caused crime before. We don't want to have prices that are so skyrocketed. As a number of media and government officials and family and staff arrive there at the White House right now, that's the East Room of the White House. I believe I see the Vice President, I think, right there, and then Doug Burgum, the Department of Interior Secretary, and some other great people there. Is that Howard Lutnick as well, the Department of Commerce? So a lot of great people walking into the White House there at the East Room as we approach the top of the hour. 6 o'clock. Thanks so much for live streaming in with us as we continue to bring you wall-to-wall coverage of this White House, but also if there's other breaking news that happens outside of the Beltway, if it's something that will be of concern or of note, we will bring you that news as well. Let's look at some of the specifics going on around the country. If there are any other stories that are catching our eye here. We do know that, of course, the president did confirm rumors that DOJ will be auditing the IRS, that according to leading report. So waiting for that. We're also seeing that, according to Breaking 911, the insanity continues. The EPA chief, Lee Zeldin, says he canceled a $50 million Biden-era environmental justice grant to the Climate Justice Alliance, which believes climate justice travels through a free Palestine. Let me read that again. The EPA chief, Lee Zeldin, says he just canceled a $50 million Biden-era environmental justice grant to the Climate Justice Alliance, which believes climate justice travels through a free Palestine. That's $50 million of our money. Good job, Lee Zeldin. Good job, DOJ. Thank you. And you look at these things and you just think of how woke can you really get? You know, the woke mind virus is such a real thing. And it's great to see it being uncovered and the corruption leaving as we make our country not only great again, back into the common sense that we need it to be. And that's what President Trump ran on. And that's what's great about what happened in the first administration. There were many promises made and many promises kept. And so we're seeing that again. But this time, guys, as you know, what we saw in that first administration, I remember looking up at a TV screen and seeing the president walk around with, I believe it was the CEO and the owners of like GM and the car manufacturers and the dealers. And then he's over, talking with somebody in the military, and he's just doing all these things like day 1, 2, 3 of the first administration. And I remember thinking, wow, I mean, this is great. Things are really happening. This time around, the historic speed has gone into a light years ahead of that first administration. First administration was great. That's why he's back. That's why we voted for him in 2020. And we know what happened there. So we moved on. We did it again. And too big to rig. And now here we are seeing him go at historic speed. So quite awesome to see that happen. It looks like Bernie Sanders was asked a few questions by the Daily Caller. And this is what Bernie Sanders said, the socialist here. The president is operating in a very authoritarian, illegal, and unconstitutional way. He's just saying that to a few reporters in D.C. there. He's not. Lies, lies, lies continue from the left leadership. Again, when I say that, I don't mean every Democrat or liberal across this country, because most are not woke radicals. Maybe they believe a certain way, okay, well, but when it comes to people like Bernie and others saying such ridiculous things, it's the same old playbook. They're just trying to get a soundbite, and they're just feeding the, when I worked in the mainstream media, it was always about feeding the media beast, we'd call it. Or we'd call it Mick News, because we just cover something quick and report it. And anything that had to do with leftist ideology and anything anti-good things like the Constitution or God or President Trump or MAGA, it would always be on the other side. And so all that is left in this country are these few Democrat leaders and the mainstream media it's probably about 95% still. Because if you look at the White House press briefing room, it's still 95% of the room. 5% are conservative, which is great to see, the new media, right? But that's all we're really dealing with here. And I get there's globalist influences and stuff when it's on more of a global front, but when you're just looking domestically, that's what we're so-called up against. It's not like there's a bunch of people. It's a small group. Just like if you look at the global perspective, and I'll rein it back in, we'll talk here about today's coverage, but I do want to say, from the global perspective, it's the same thing. There's maybe just loose terms here, but 800 people that are trying to really control the entire free world versus what? 7-8 billion people. The people in Iran, the people in China, they want to be free. We've heard from them. We saw what it was like when some of the Chinese people tried to, were so upset about the COVID lockdowns that there was a terrible incident where a fire tore through a whole apartment, but the doors were locked shut by the government because you couldn't go outside because of COVID. These people are just good people. They want to be free. So it's really only a few people that are out there that are trying to take away that freedom. It just really brings it into perspective. Okay, a lot of people standing on their feet. Let's go to Washington, D.C., to the East Room right now.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, please. Great honor. I'm thrilled to welcome the Prime Minister of India, my friend, Narendra Modi, back to the White House. We spent a lot of time here and a lot of time in India, and he's a very special man. Prime Minister, it is a pleasure to extend to you the same hospitality that you showed Melania and myself when we traveled to your beautiful country 5 years ago. It's hard to believe, so long ago, and it seemed like yesterday. It was beautiful. We opened the cricket stadium, 129,000 seats, I think the largest stadium in the world, and it was an incredible period of time. There is truly a special bond between the United States and India, and the world's oldest democracy and the world's largest democracy, and I believe the world's largest country in terms of the numbers of people. And today the Prime Minister and I are announcing a framework to strengthen those ties even further economically, and the U.S.-India Compact for the 21st century is a historic initiative that will deepen every aspect of our partnership and our friendship. Starting this year, we'll be increasing military sales to India by many billions of dollars. We're also paving the way to ultimately provide India with the F-35 stealth fighters. In 2017, my administration revived and reinvigorated the Quad security partnership. In our meeting today, the Prime Minister and I reaffirmed that strong cooperation among the United States, India, Australia, and Japan. And it's crucial, really, to maintaining peace and prosperity, tranquility, even in the Indo-Pacific. In addition, the United States and India will be working together like never before to confront the threat of radical Islamic terrorism, a threat all over the world, actually. Today, I'm pleased to announce that my administration has approved the extradition of one of the plotters and one of the very evil people of the world, and having to do with the horrific 2008 Mumbai terrorist attack, to face justice in India. So he's going to be going back to India to face justice. As we deepen our defense partnership, we'll also strengthen our economic ties and bring greater fairness and reciprocity to our trading relationship. As a signal of good faith, Prime Minister Modi recently announced the reductions to India's unfair, very strong tariffs that limit U.S. access into the Indian market very strongly, and really it's a big problem, I must say. India imposes a 30 to 40 to 60 and even 70% tariff on so many of the goods, and in some cases far more than that. And as an example, a 70% tariff on U.S. cars going into India, which makes it pretty much impossible to sell those cars. Today, the U.S. trade deficit with India is almost $100 billion, and Prime Minister Modi and I have agreed that we'll begin negotiations to address the long-running disparities that should have been taken care of over the last 4 years, but they didn't do that, in the U.S.-India trading relationship, with the goal of signing an agreement and we want we want a certain level playing field, which we really think we're entitled to, and he does also, in fairness. So we're going to work on that very hard, and we can make up the difference very easily with the deficit, with the sale of oil and gas, LNG, of which we have more than anybody in the world. The Prime Minister and I also reached an important agreement on energy that will restore the United States as a leading supplier of oil and gas to India. It will be hopefully their #1 supplier. And the groundbreaking development for U.S. nuclear industry. India is also reforming its laws to welcome U.S. nuclear technology, which is at the highest level, into the Indian market. This will bring safe, clean, and affordable electricity to millions of Indians and tens of billions of dollars to the U.S. civilian nuclear industry in India. And under the framework we are announcing today, the United States and India are also joining forces to ensure that artificial intelligence and other advanced technologies are developed by the two of the most advanced nations, intellectually and otherwise technologically. Anywhere in the world, there's nobody very much closer. We have an incredible relationship there, and this is where it seems to be heading. And artificial intelligence, a very complex subject, but it seems to be where people want to be and they want to go, and we're leading right now by a lot, but other people will try to catch us. I don't know if they're going to be able to. We're going to make it available. We're going to make tremendous amounts of electricity available. We're going to let the people that are buying the electricity make their own electric plants, electric generation plants. And we've never done this in our country, but we're going to get it done very quickly. Lee Zeldin and his group are going to get the approvals in very rapid form. And we're calling it a national emergency, and that's exactly what it is. So we're going to remain at the top of the AI, or artificial intelligence, I think, for a long time to come, and we're going to be working very closely with India and other countries on that. But right now we're the leader by quite a bit. Finally, we agreed to work together to help build one of the greatest trade routes in all of history. It will run from India to Israel to Italy and onward to the United States, connecting our partners by ports, railways, and undersea cables, many undersea cables. It's a big development. It's a lot of money going to be spent, and we've already spent some, but we're going to be spending a lot more in order to stay advanced and stay the leader. I'm pleased to report that with today's announcements, the friendship between the United States and India is the strongest I believe it's ever been. I think our relationship is the best it's ever been between two leaders of the two countries, and it's an honor to say that. I'd like to now invite the Prime Minister to say a few words, and then we'll take some questions, and we appreciate you all being here. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Your Excellency, President Trump, delegates of both countries, friends from the media, Namaskar. I would like to, first of all, express my heartfelt gratitude to my dear friend, President Trump, for the grand welcome and hospitality accorded to me. President Trump's leadership has been instrumental in nurturing India-US ties and making them vibrant. I could feel today the same enthusiasm, the same energy, the same commitment that we had worked with during our first term. Our discussions today highlighted our pride in our accomplishments during his first term, the deep mutual trust that we share, and also the resolve to attain new goals. we also agreed that the partnership and cooperation between India and the US can shape a better world. Friends, the people of America are aware of President Trump's motto, "Make America Great Again," or MAGA. The people of America are well aware of it. The people of India, too, are focusing on both heritage and development as they move forward at a fast pace and with a firm resolve to ensure a developed India by 2047. If I were to say this, borrowing an expression from America, our vision for a developed India is to make India great again, or MEGA. When America and India work together, that is, when it's MAGA plus MEGA, it becomes MEGA, a mega partnership for prosperity. And it is this mega spirit that gives new scale and scope to our objectives. Friends, today we have also set ourselves the target of more than doubling our bilateral trade to attain $500 billion by 2030. Our teams will work on concluding very soon a mutually beneficial trade agreement in order to ensure India's energy security. We will focus on trade in oil and gas. Investment in energy infrastructure will also increase. In the area of nuclear energy, we also discussed increasing cooperation on small modular reactors. Friends, America plays an important role in India's defense preparedness. As strategic and trusted partners, we are moving forward actively towards joint development, joint production, and transfer of technology. In the times to come as well, new technologies and equipment will enhance our capacities.
We have decided to launch the Autonomous Systems Industry Alliance and a defense cooperation framework for the next decade will be prepared. Defense interoperability, logistics, repair, and maintenance will also be its key components. Friends, the 21st century is a technology-driven century. Cooperation in the area of technology between countries that believe in democratic values can give new direction, strength, and opportunities to the entire humanity. India and the US will jointly work in areas of artificial intelligence, semiconductors, quantum, biotechnology, and several other technologies. Today, we also agreed on trust, which stands for transforming relationships utilizing strategic technology. Under this, our focus will be on establishing strong supply chains for critical minerals, advanced materials, and pharmaceuticals. We have also decided to launch a recovery and processing initiative for strategic minerals like lithium and rare earths. We have had close cooperation with the U.S. in the area of space. The NISAR satellite, developed with mutual cooperation between ISRO and NASA, will soon be flying into space on an Indian launch vehicle. Friends, partnership between India and the U.S. strengthens democracy and strengthens democratic values and systems. We will work together to enhance peace, stability, and prosperity in the Indo-Pacific. The Quad will play a special role in this. During the Quad Summit, scheduled to be held in India this year, we will expand cooperation in new areas with our partner countries. Under the IMEC and I2U2, we will work together for the development of economic corridors and in the area of connectivity. India and U.S. will stand strongly together in the fight against terrorism. We agree that in order to eliminate cross-border terrorism, we need concrete actions. And I'm very grateful to President Trump that he, in 2008, somebody who carried out genocide in India, that criminal is now going to be handed over to India, and I'm grateful to President Trump for this. And appropriate action will be taken in the courts in India. Friends, the Indian community living in the U.S. is an important link in our relations. In order to further deepen our people-to-people ties, India will soon open new consulates in Los Angeles and Boston. These will be new consulates. We have invited American universities and educational institutes to open their offshore campuses in India. President Trump, I am grateful to you for your friendship and strong commitment towards India. The people of India still fondly remember your visit in 2020 and hope that President Trump will come and visit them again. On behalf of 1.4 billion Indians, I invite you to visit India. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Beautiful. Okay, thank you very much. That was excellent. We'll do a few questions, please. Please, go ahead. Please, go ahead. Yeah. Yeah, blue shirt.
Thank you, Mr. President. People in India will naturally welcome your decision to extradite Thakur Rana to India back home. In that context, I would like to ask you a question about, in the last few years, we have seen several groups in the U.S. raising anti-India voice, calling about separation, terrorism activities in India. Do you think that should continue here in the U.S. as well?
You're going to have to go louder.
Mr. President, people in India would be welcoming your decision to extradite Thakur Rana to...
I can't understand a word he's saying.
May I, sir? May I? May I, sir?
Go ahead, back there.
Mr. President, thank you. First, I want to ask the Prime Minister a question. You and the President, you both spoke about combating ISIS. You both sounded very excited about this partnership. upcoming. And I was curious, how much more confident are you with President Trump leading this country that there will be peace through strength and you will have a successful partnership with the United States versus with Biden's incompetence and weakness over the last 4 years?
That's your question, but I'll answer it. I agree with you. Yeah, gross incompetence. We're going to have a fantastic relationship, and it has been. Look, the whole world's been set back over the last 4 years by the weakness of the United States, the weak leadership of the United States. But I think we've taken care of it in just 3 weeks. It seems to me that even some of the media that we wouldn't prefer has been writing that this is a much different country right now, that the world has a light over it, not only our country, but the whole world. The Prime Minister told me that before, too, even over India. The world has a light. They need the United States to be strong and powerful, but good. And I think that's happened, and I think it's happened in a very short period of time. But I will tell you, we're going to have a fantastic relationship, and it'll make both countries much stronger. Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay, Geeta Mohan from India Today, sir. I'll just take my colleague Lalit Jha's question forward because you can understand.
Okay, fine.
The question is about the fact that you've decided to extradite Tahabur Rana. Thank you so much. India has been waiting to have him back in India to bring him to justice. But there are many other elements in the United States of America, particularly Khalistani separatists who've been working against Indian interests. How is the United States of America going to cooperate on that front with India? There have been allegations that have been leveled against Indian agencies by the Biden administration. Are you going to relook that with Tulsi Gabbard as DNI now?
Well, I don't think India had a very good relationship with the Biden administration. Biden, they wouldn't sell them oil and gas, which is rather hard to believe because, you know, it's a good thing to do. And a lot of things happened that weren't very appropriate, I thought, between India and the administration, the Biden administration. But as you said, we're giving a very violent man, it seems to me. I mean, I don't know that he's been convicted yet or will be, but let's assume he's a pretty violent person. We're giving him back to India immediately. And there are more to follow because we have quite a few requests. So we work with India on crime. And we want to make it good for India, and it's very important. So that kind of a relationship is very important to us. Okay? Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
Thank you. Mr. President, you've repeatedly called India a big abuser of trade and said it is really difficult to do business in India because of tariffs. You announced reciprocal tariffs today. I am hoping you can speak about what kind of reciprocal tariffs India can expect. Are you willing to make any concessions? And how can India head off these tariffs? I also have one for the Prime Minister.
Well, India's been, to us, just about the highest tariffed nation anywhere in the world. They've been very strong on tariffs, and I don't blame them necessarily, but it's a different way of doing business. It's very hard to sell into India because they have trade barriers, very strong tariffs. We are right now a reciprocal nation. We are going to, if it's India or if it's somebody else with low tariffs, we're going to have the same. We're going to have whatever India charges, we're charging them. Whatever another country charges, we're charging them. So it's called reciprocal, which I think is a very fair way. We didn't have that. I was going to do that in my other term, and we had the greatest economy ever in the world. There's never been an economy like we had, and then we got hit with COVID. We had to focus on that, and I wasn't really in the mood to be putting it on Italy and Spain and France and India, frankly, and a lot of other countries because the world was very troubled until we got rid of that nightmare. But we had the strongest economy anywhere in the world during that fairly long period of time during my first term, as you know, and we didn't do the tariffs, we would have done the reciprocal tariffs, but we decided, and I decided, I think on a human basis, on a humane basis, not to do them because of the fact that there was such suffering all over the world. The last thing we needed to talk about is trade problems. But now we do. We're doing, we see a tremendous future for our country, but we felt that now it's finally time, after 45 or 50 years of abuse, that we will do, and this isn't India, this is among a lot of nations. The European Union is very difficult for us, very, very difficult. They tax our companies at levels that nobody's ever seen before. They take advantage of a lot of things, so we're not happy about that. China, of course, is terrible, and we've never taken in 10 cents until I was president. We've taken in hundreds of billions of dollars from China since I've been president in first term and now. And we have to do that just as a mechanism of fairness. And that's what I've done. And so we are being reciprocal with India. Whatever India charges, we charge them. So frankly, it no longer matters to us that much what they charge, because whatever they charge, I had discussions with India in the first term about the fact that their tariffs were very high, and I was unable to get a concession. So we're just going to do it the easy way, and we're just going to say whatever you charge, we charge. And I think that's fair for the people of the United States, and I think it's actually fair for India. Okay?
Are you willing to make any concessions, sir? Any concessions?
Go ahead, please. Ask to the
A
Prime
question
Minister,
for the
please.
Prime Minister, please.
Ask to the Prime Minister, please.
Yes. Sorry. Yoshita Singh with Press Trust of India. Prime Minister, thank you, Mr. President. Prime Minister, the U.S. is giving a lot of push to curb illegal immigration, and India has been cooperating on this issue. How does India see this issue in the larger context? Thank you.
I don't think this is a question that is about India only, but even globally you can talk about this issue. And we are of the opinion that anybody who enters another country illegally, they have absolutely no right to be in that country. And as far as India and the U.S. is concerned, we have always been of the same opinion, and that is that any verified Indian who is in the U.S. illegally, we are fully prepared to take them back to India. However, it doesn't stop there. These are children of very ordinary families, and they are lured by big dreams and big promises. A lot of them are brought in without them knowing about why they're going to a country. And in fact, they are connected with a human trafficking system, and we have to make sure that we fight against this system. As far as the U.S. and India is concerned, I think what we should do is make efforts to make sure that we uproot these from within the system so that we can reduce or remove human trafficking. And basically the young, vulnerable, poor people of India are fooled into coming over as illegal immigrants. And our bigger fight actually is against this ecosystem or this system that encourages such gangs to thrive. And I can tell you that India will completely support your endeavor in achieving this.
Thank you, Mr. President. The question for Prime Minister Modi first, if I may. I wanted to ask you, did you discuss any possible business deals with Elon Musk during your meetings today, Mr. Prime Minister? And Mr. President, I wanted to ask you, today you spoke about hoping to have three-way talks with President Xi and President Putin. What would you say to European leaders and other allies who may be concerned that you're apparently more keen to speak to America's adversaries than to its allies? Thank you.
Well, maybe I'll just go in first on this one. We had some talks, and we told the European Union, we told the NATO people, largely they overlap. You have to pay more money because it's unfair what we're doing. We're doing a tremendous amount more. We're probably $200 billion more going into Ukraine, using for Ukraine to fight. And Europe has not really carried its weight in terms of the money. It's not equitable. And we want to see a counterbalance. We want to have them put up more money. They have to do that. At the same time, we had a very good conversation with President Putin yesterday, and we also had a very good conversation. I did in both cases with President Zelensky. And I think we're going to be able to do something. I think we're going to be able to make a deal. And I hope so, because it's a horrible war. It's a very terrible, bloody war with 1.5 million soldiers at least already dead on the battlefield, lying all over the fields like nobody's ever seen anything like it, certainly since the Second World War. And so I think we're going to be able to do something. We're working with President Zelensky and with President Putin. And my impression is that I know that President Zelensky wants to make a deal. And I also feel that I know that President Putin wants to make a deal. I wanted to know that before I began any detailed discussions. But the meeting and the conversation, also the meeting with Steve Witkoff in Moscow, was a very successful one. And my phone call with him was a very successful one. Please.
You asked a question regarding Elon Musk. I have known him for a very long time. I was not even a prime minister at the time when I first met him. I was chief minister. And today he came to meet me along with all his family, with his children. And so we had a nice discussion. As far as the EV is concerned, EVs are concerned, the word EV has a copyright, and that is one person who has a copyright for the word EV, and that is Trump.
Thank you, Mr. President. Can I ask whether you discussed at all today the case of Gautam Adani, who's one of the wealthiest men in Asia and perceived as an ally of Prime Minister Modi? Prime Minister Modi, have you asked the President to take action on that case? Thank you.
Firstly, India is a democratic country, and our culture and our thought philosophy is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, which basically means that the entire world is a family. Every Indian is my own family member. And when it comes to such personal matters, leaders of two countries will not get together on that topic and discuss anything on an individual matter.
Go ahead, please. Yeah, please. Sir, go ahead, please.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. I have a question for you as well. But, Mr. President, you have suggested, with regards to the Russia-Ukraine war, you've suggested several things that Ukraine should give up. The idea of NATO membership, territory that was seized back in 2014 by Russia. What should Russia give up?
Russia has gotten themselves into something that I think they wish they didn't. If I were president, it would not have happened. Absolutely would not have happened. And it didn't happen for 4 years. If you look at what has taken place under President Bush, they lost a lot. Under President Obama, they lost Crimea. Under Biden, it looks like they could lose the whole thing. Under Trump, they lost nothing. Ukraine lost nothing. They didn't give up anything. And you take a look at the other three presidents surrounding me, they gave up a lot. I think that when you look at Ukraine and when you look at the mess that they're in, it's got to be ended and it's got to be stopped. Now, Russia's taken over a pretty big chunk of territory, and they also have said from day one, long before President Putin, they've said they cannot have Ukraine be in NATO. They said that very strongly. I actually think that that was the thing that caused the start of the war. And Biden said it, and Zelensky said it, and I think that was one of the reasons, one of the starts of the war. But from long before Putin, they said you cannot have Ukraine going in any way into NATO. And I start from that standpoint. I think everybody knew that. Now, if a better deal can be negotiated, if they're able to make a deal where they can do that, that's fine with me. I really don't care. I want that bloodshed to stop. I don't want to see, we have an ocean between us and the site we're talking about, the site of death. We're calling it the fields of death. We have a big ocean in between us. This is more important for Europe. We shouldn't be in. They have to equalize, and they're going to have to do it fast, but they have to equalize. But as far as the negotiation, it's too early to say what's going to happen. Maybe Russia will give up a lot. Maybe they won't. And it's all dependent on what is going to happen. The negotiation really hasn't started. But I will say, as far as NATO is concerned, from many years before President Putin, I will tell you that I've heard that Russia would never accept that. And I think Ukraine knew that, because Ukraine wasn't in and never requested to be in until more recently. So that's the way it is, and I think that's the way it's going to have to be. Go ahead, please. All right, go ahead, please, with the tie. With the tie, yeah.
Mr. President,
yes, go ahead, please.
This is Saurabh Shukla from News Mobile. Mr. President, you spoke about Prime Minister Modi as a tough negotiator. Who was a tougher negotiator today, and who has a better negotiating tactic when it comes to tariffs?
Oh, he's a much tougher negotiator than me, and he's a much better negotiator than me. There's not even a contest. Okay? Yeah, go ahead, please. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Reena Bhardwaj from ANI. How do you see this relationship between India and the United States to counter China? And what is your vision when it comes to India, brokering peace in the Ukraine and Russia conflict?
Well, I think we're going to have a very good relationship with China. I got along with President Xi very well until COVID. That was a bridge too far. But until then, I got along with President Xi very, very well. We were very close as leaders go. I don't want to be naive, but as leaders go, I think we were very close. And I think that China is a very important player in the world. I think they can help us get this war over with Ukraine and Russia. And I look at India, I do see the skirmishes on the border, which are quite vicious, and I guess they continue to go on. If I could be of help, I'd love to help, because that should be stopped. That's been going on for a long time. And it's quite violent. It's quite violent. But I would hope that China and India and Russia and U.S. and all of us can get along. It's very important. The power of weaponry today is, and not only nuclear, but nuclear in particular, the power of weaponry is very important. I said before that I had very constructive talks in my first term with President Putin about the denuclearization of the two countries, and then we were going to go to China after we worked some kind of a deal. And we, at the confines of a deal, I thought he really wanted to do it, so did I, denuclearize. And it's such a beautiful term when you think about it. In other words, to bring it down, because the power of those weapons is too great. And I did speak to President Xi about that, and I was getting also a very good response. He's building a very strong nuclear power. He's not very close to Russia or the United States right now, but he will be soon. I mean, he'll catch up over the period of 4 or 5 years, they say. But it would be a great thing if we could, on a military basis. We're going to spend this year $915 billion on military. Russia, without the war, was spending close to 100, but with the war, I can't tell you what they're spending, but they're spending a lot. And China is spending $400 and $450 billion. We're over $900 billion. And I said, it doesn't really make sense, does it? We're spending the money against each other, and we could spend that money for better purpose if we got along. And I'll tell you, I think that something like that will happen. First, when I left, as you know, 4 years ago, we didn't have Israel and the Middle East. We didn't have October 7th, a disaster, the disaster. Nothing was happening. Iran was not going to do anything, because Iran did not have much money at that point. They were broke. They were totally broke. They didn't have money for Hamas or for Hezbollah. And you didn't have Russia with Ukraine, and that would never have happened. But now I come back and I have the whole world is on fire, so I have to put out the fires. But after I put out the fires, I'm going to meet with China and I'm going to meet with Russia, and we're going to see if we can de-escalate it. We can bring it down military, especially as it pertains to nuclear. Please.
Mike, please. Prime Minister, how do you see India's role? You have had discussions with President Trump about de-escalating the conflict in Russia and Ukraine. As you know, I have been in constant contact with both Russia and Ukraine. I have also visited both countries. And many people are mistaken and they feel that India is neutral. I would like to clarify, India is not neutral. We have taken a side, and we have taken the side of peace. And it is based on this principle of ours that in the presence of President Putin, I clearly said in front of the media that this is not the era of war. And even today, it is my conviction that solutions cannot be found on the battlefield. Ultimately, you have to come to the negotiating table. And India has constantly made efforts that there are talks that take place where both parties are present. It is only then that we will find a solution. The efforts being made by President Trump, I support them, I welcome them, and I would like that President Trump is successful as soon as possible so that the world is on the path to peace once again.
Everybody, thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I very much appreciate the Prime Minister visiting our great country, and I do really appreciate it. We have so much in common, and all we want to do is have peace, and we want to have strength, and we want to have lots of different things together. But the relationship with India and with the Prime Minister has never been better. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, there you go, live from the White House there. Obviously at the end there, a little bit of inside baseball with the color bars, the traditional color bars right there on Right Side Broadcasting Network. What a great meeting that was with the Prime Minister of India, Modi, and President Trump, as we are live here in Alabama right now, following all of the latest developments from inside the Beltway and, of course, any other America First news. So let's just recap a little bit, and then we will be closing out our broadcast for the day. As you have been with us, a lot of you, since this morning, a lot of coverage today, a lot of news today for America First and our great country. So Prime Minister Modi saying he wants to make India great again. He's saying when you mix MEGA together with MAGA, it makes MEGA, mega partnership. President Trump showing a lot of support with that as he visibly supported the statement by pumping his fist in the air. as the Prime Minister of India said that. So a lot of great times there when it comes to both leaders. We saw a lot of coverage as well from the Oval Office. So if you've missed any of this coverage, go ahead onto Rumble or wherever you'd like to watch on the social platforms and rewatch some of the great coverage today, because at the end of the day, it's happening very fast. The historic speed that we're seeing our country go from what it was for the last 4 years to what it's becoming is a sight to see. So again, it's 6:48 Eastern Time. I'm Matthew Alvarez. Thank you so much for watching today. Let's thank a few sponsors. Colonial Metals Group is a great sponsor here at the network. All you have to do is go to Free Gold Guide for more information on Colonial Metals Group. We want to thank them for being a sponsor. Also, Tax Network USA, 800-357-1415. You see that number on your screen. You can settle your back taxes. They'll help you out. tnusa.com/RSBN. Also, American Financing. All you have to do is go to americanfinancing.net for more information on how to save upwards of $800 per month. So $800 per month, americanfinancing.net. Let's move on now to Republican Red. We can see it real quick there for a quick second more. As you see, it's refinancing and also home loans, and more information you can get at americanfinancing.net. Let's move on to republicanred.com. You see the great promo code RSBN, always saving you money, and also getting some great products right there. Wine for the right side. You can also use the QR code if you'd like. republicanred.com. Here at 6:49 Eastern Time. Let's move on to mypillow.com. Of course, a mega sale. You see it right there on the right side of your screen, the great Mike Lindell. And if you use that promo code as well, you'll get a sizable percentage off. Always good to have great products. You get them there from mypillow.com. Speaking of RSBN, if you'd like to donate to this network at all you have to do is text RSBN to 801-801. So simply texting RSBN to 801-801 as we continue to expand our coverage, our America First news here at the network, all based in common sense and the greatness of this country as we move forward. If you'd like to have a newsletter sent to your email inbox, all you have to do is go to rsbnetwork.com/newsletter, rsbnetwork.com/newsletter. All right, that wraps up our coverage for today. Obviously, a lot going on in just less than a month since President Trump has been sworn into office there at the U.S. Capitol building on January 20th. I do want to leave you with one quote that I have read probably 5 times today, but I want to end with this. President Trump said on January 20th, 2025, "In everything we do, my administration will be inspired by our strong pursuit of excellence and unrelenting success. We will not forget our country. We will not forget our Constitution, and we will not forget our God." Spoken on January 20th by President Trump not too long ago. It's February 13th, Valentine's Day tomorrow. And also, we have a live shot from Gulf of America tomorrow. I might have that with someone that's down there, or Robert McNeely will. Maybe we both will. At the end of the day, we have different shifts tomorrow, but it's going to be great to see a live report from the Gulf of America. For all of us here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, for everybody that's behind the scenes, that gets all of the live feeds and everything working to show you everything that we see from inside the Beltway and outside of D.C., I'm Matthew Alvarez. Have a great night, and we'll see you soon.